he quit that kind of divorce proceedings. And he started doing what is called collaborative divorce. Collaborative divorce is where both parties agree to sit down in a room with their attorney and come to agreements together. And the moment they threaten to take it to court to sue, the proceeding is over. And what they've agreed to is if it goes to court, the attorney that's agreed to be a part of this can't participate in the divorce proceedings. It's all geared toward making them sit down together and work this out. And here's what he says as he's being interviewed by Ira Glass. He says, I think often what happens is couples in conflicts lose the ability to listen to each other. Ira Glass, and so you find yourself very often saying to your own client, no. Listen to what they're saying. Listen to what the other attorney's client is saying. Barry Burton, the attorney, says, absolutely. Not to agree with it, but at least to understand it. That's the whole question, to recognize that your point of view doesn't necessarily invalidate your spouse's point of view. I think often in our relationships, one of the hardest things for us to do is to actually listen. And to listen in such a way that even if we don't agree with the person sitting across from us, it doesn't invalidate their point of view. And I think what we do is we have our own agendas, and so we're trying to win them to our position. We're trying to convince them that they're wrong, and what winds up happening is we don't listen. And so we have this trial, this divorce attorney who's seen it over and over again. He's actually seen cases where, after sitting down in this process, the couple decides to get back together because they've learned something they've forgotten, which is just to listen to them. If I can be honest with you for a second and just have this conversation, the leadership, the elders and the deacons, we know that some among us are struggling with the move downtown. We know that. We understand that it's difficult for some of us. And here's what I just want you to see about that, is that this listen here is an invitation to listen. To listen. And here's what I mean by that. As you struggle with the move downtown, or as we struggle with, maybe you're excited about the move downtown, but one of the things that we've said is this move isn't going to be some panacea that is going to magically make us better. That maybe in our struggle together as a congregation, the invitation to listen is to actually stop and say, the struggle I'm in, God, how is it that you're using this or wanting to use this to grow me in my faith? Because what we tend to do when we struggle is we tend to lash out at other people. We tend to forget to listen to God and what God is doing. And one of the things we believe as a church, nod your heads because this is true, is that no matter what circumstance, no matter how hard it is, no matter how difficult, no matter how hurtful it is, that God is somehow using that and working in that for our good to build us in our faith. Right? Nod your heads. That's what we believe. And yet what we often do is we often don't stop to listen and say, God, what are you doing to grow me in my faith? What are you after? What are you teaching me? Not, what does that person need to do to get right and get fixed and do what I want them to do? God, what are you teaching me? He's inviting the leadership of City Church to listen. Sure. To seek how He's trying to grow us in our faith as we go through this struggle together with you. See, the word listen, this call to listen, is an invitation to humility, to seeking God and inviting God into our own brokenness and our own need and our own inability, and asking God, what are you doing in my life? The invitation to listen is an invitation to counter the foolishness and hypocrisy present among us and in all of us. It's an invitation to stop and to see our hypocrisy, to see where our words don't match our actions, our hearts. Not by quitting, not by gossip and backbiting, not by fighting, but by going to church wisely, listening, humbly receiving from God with love, by embodying what is good, what looks like faith and repentance, which means reorients our lives to what God is doing in love and patience toward us and toward our foolishness and forgiveness. One of the sure marks of the fact, if you want to say, take your pulse, am I going to church foolishly? One of the sure signs of it is that you have an inability to forgive, that you hold grudges, that you continue to bring up people's failures over and over and over again. Zach Eswine says it this way: we're called to listen, and that looks like living as those who are, quote, already known. Our evils are already found out, and our denials are less and less interesting. Love that. Clean and humble truth about God and about us is taking center stage. It's an invitation to come here and listen to the truth about us, the clean and humble truth about us and about God that takes center stage here on Sunday and amongst us. Let me just say a brief thing. This leads us to a fear of God. Verse 7, but God is the one you must fear. Win Butler of Arcade Fire talks about this phrase, fear of God, and here's what he says. There are two kinds of fear. The Bible talks a lot about fear of God. Fear in the face of something awesome. That kind of fear is the type of fear that makes someone want to change. That kind of fear. The fear of something awesome. The fear that God is in heaven. He sits enthroned. He is the one who is our audience. He is the one who is present with us. He is the one that's gathered us here. He is the one that's given us our mission and our task in this city. Him. And He is awesome. He is fearful, and that kind of fear makes us want to change. But a fear of other people, he goes on to say, fear of other people, fear that leads through all of this and acting as if we've got it together when we don't. That kind of fear is the type of fear that makes someone that makes you want to stay the same, to protect what you have. It's a stagnant fear, and it's paralyzing.